Welcome to the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Today, my guest is Rebecca Gonzalez from Quaint Oak Abstract. Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great. So what we're going to be talking about is title insurance. What is title insurance? Why do you need it? So, but before we jump into that part of it, I always ask my guests, how did you get started in the, title business?
Okay. So approximately in 2001, my husband and I started investing in real estate. From there, I obtained my real estate license just to be able to represent myself and my husband and streamline the process. After that, I got into the mortgage processing aspect of things, which eventually led me to doing closings and then into becoming a title insurance agent.
Okay, great. Now, how long have you been in title?
So I've been in title probably about 15 years. Prior to that, I was involved in the closing aspect and doing closing. So about 15 years.
Great. Okay, so now the big picture for anybody out there who doesn't know, what is title insurance? Why do you need title insurance?
Okay. So the basic essence of title insurance is what it says it is. It's insurance. It's ensuring that you are the rightful owner of a property and that there's no other liens or judgments or encumbrances that can call into question your ownership of a property.
Okay, great. So you're searching the property to make sure a couple things. One, the seller is able to sell the property.
Yes.
And it's the right person.
Right.
And that there's no, back taxes or any old mortgages or anything like that.
Sure.
Okay. Now, and that's super important because on the
Yes.
mortgage side, we want to see that, the property's free and clear and
Yes.
the new mortgage is going to be in first lien position. And, there's nothing going to be in the way.
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, as far as like judgments, what do you do to help out agents? Because I know a lot of times, you're searching or you're calling old mortgage companies that may be out of business. So, tell me, what does that look like?
Okay. So basically, when a title insurance product is ordered by a real estate agent, we have a searcher that does searches of the county records in the county that the property is located in. Also, the prothonotary office, just to make sure there's no, let's say, divorces pending or divorces, death, or anything like that in the chain of title, being the current owner or anybody previous. So those searches come in, and then we analyze those searches and the title report or commitment, which is what an agent or a client will typically receive that title commitment. From there, we will work with whoever the, dare I say, owner of that lien or judgment is, as
Right.
far as a mortgage company to get a payoff. If there's a death in the chain of title, we'll work to get copies of the wills to make sure inheritance tax was paid. So basically, we will work to clear title.
Okay, great. And then how far back do you go? Like, is there like a set time frame that you have to clear? Like, let's say the house has been around 100 years.
Right.
Can you go back 30 years and that's good enough? Or what's that about?
That's a great question. Basically, the answer to that is it all depends on what comes up on title, right? So there's some judgments, like IRS judgments for sure, right? The IRS always gets their man. Right. So, those will go back a pretty long time. There's some things that expire by statute after a few years. So it all depends on what comes up on title.
Okay.
So we really have to analyze what we're looking at and what we have to clear.
Okay. A question I always get is, what's the difference between a standard policy and an enhanced policy?
Sure. And that's probably one of the biggest questions that we get at title insurance as well. Basically, an enhanced policy is designed for an owner-occupant. It's an insurance product for that. Okay. One of the biggest things that we're seeing right now, one of the best benefits of an enhanced policy is it does cover things that happen post-closing. Right. So basic policy will cover anything that appears on title up until the date of settlement.
Okay.
Okay. Enhanced goes past that. It provides that enhanced protection. We're seeing a lot of deed forgeries in the news right now. An enhanced policy will cover the deed forgeries. Okay.
And what would be a price difference? Like, why wouldn't everybody turn around and say, you know what, let me do an enhanced
That's a great
policy?
question, because it's only a 10% price increase over the basic policy.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not that big.
Right.
So you think maybe, that could be an option.
Exactly. For a $300,000 policy, for example, the difference between the basic and the enhanced policy is only about $220, right? So $220 when you're having a problem doesn't even warrant you a call to an attorney. It costs more than that just to get advice on that. The enhanced policy will cover.
Right. Okay. So, let me ask you this. How far does it go or stays in effect after closing? So in other words, so I close a year later, something happens.
Yeah.
What's that time frame?
The entirety of your ownership of the property.
Wow.
Okay. And one of the great things that you bring that up, as far as, if something happened in a year from now, the enhanced policy does increase the coverage 10% a year for the first 5 years of the policy, right?
Well, that's big.
That's huge.
Because the property value goes up.
Property value goes up, number one. Number two, most title defects are discovered within the first 5 years of ownership of the property.
Okay.
So, that's additional insurance that you're getting for a reduced amount if you think about it.
Right. So, okay, so you mentioned, this is a combo question.
Yeah.
Because I've seen on TV where they have, protect your deed,
Yeah.
people are stealing, properties, that kind of
Yes.
thing. But then you're also saying on an enhanced property, that covers that as well?
Yes, it does. On an enhanced title policy, it does cover post-policy forgeries.
Okay.
Okay. The things that you're seeing on TV, what they're doing is they're alerting you to the fact that there was a stealing of your deed or a recording of your deed, but not by you, but they're not doing anything to fix it.
Right.
They're not helping you to resolve the issue. An enhanced policy is going to help resolve that issue for you in the way of you have a team of real estate attorneys that this is what they specialize in. They're going to go to bat for you to resolve that issue.
Okay, so, right, because basically what you're doing is you're paying, I guess, a fee just to monitor your deed.
Correct.
To let you know, hey, your deed was changed.
Right.
And if you didn't do that, then,
Right.
hey, you're alerted to the situation.
Right.
So that's just monitoring it. They're not helping you do anything. Okay, so the enhanced policy is going to protect you and help you resolve if the deed gets stolen type
Yes.
of thing. So they'll help resolve the issue. The services that you see on TV, they monitor
Correct.
that, hey, your deed was changed,
Correct.
but they don't do anything about it. They just let
Correct.
you know.
Right.
So that's where where those differences come in.
Correct.
So I guess if you have the enhanced policy, you may not know they stole the property, but once you find out.
Once you find out.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of the counties are offering free service now that people can actually go on and register their ownership of a property and be alerted if there is any kind of transfer of a deed.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another real biggie is wire fraud.
Yes.
Right? So, I actually had a friend who wired money to a property he bought in Florida, and that was a big ordeal. He ended up losing money, but
Sure.
he got most of it back because he had to hire an attorney, and it was a big mess.
Yeah.
And the numbers were the same within one number.
Sure.
When for the wire wiring instructions. So how big of an issue is it, and what you're seeing?
It's huge. Wire fraud is something that keeps title agents up at night. Okay, it's estimated that 1 in 3 transactions are targeted for wire fraud. 1 in 3 is huge.
Right.
I mean, look at 3 of your transactions that you're doing right now. One of them is potentially being infiltrated right now.
Well, let me ask you this question before we go a little bit more.
Yes.
Like, how would this third party or the scammer, how would they even know that somebody's conducting real estate? Where does that come from?
You know what? Unfortunately, it's from the MLS. They're monitoring the MLS. They see that a listing it has gone on the market. They know that Pat Lopez listed it. So, they'll have access to what Pat's email address is, not necessarily your email account. They know when a property goes under agreement, because once again, we're advertising that on the MLS. So they're sophisticated, they're smart, they know what the process looks like, and they know that you're going to be using a title company. So they're watching, they're waiting, they're not in a hurry, because they're really making sure that they understand the process and they know when they can jump in, right? So they'll infiltrate one of the parties' email accounts.
They're hacking somebody.
They're hacking somebody, and most of the time, 99% of the time, the person that is being hacked has no idea that they're being hacked. They know when to slip in those wire instructions. They'll stop the legitimate ones coming from the title company, or going to the title company, whatever way it's happening, and they'll put theirs in there.
Okay, so now how do you ultimately prevent that? Is that, is there like a secure portal? What do you guys do?
So, we always recommend sending everything securely. It's inevitable that someone in the transaction is going to use one of the free Gmail or Yahoo. It's just the way that the world works right now. But you have to be very, very diligent,
right.
And careful when you are dealing with title instructions or wiring instructions. So what you're going to always want to do is you're going to want to verify those instructions, pick up the phone, go on the website, find a number that is an actual verified number for a company or for a person, and you always need to verify.
Right.
We tell real estate agents, educate your customer, educate them early, talk about wire fraud a lot. A lot of consumers aren't aware of what's going on or what's plaguing our industry. So the education piece is huge.
Okay. Yeah, because like I mentioned, it was like one digit off.
Right.
And if he would have called just to confirm, hey, did you send me this? I'm getting ready to send the wire out. Then he called the title company. He can confirm, yes, we just sent it out, or no,
Absolutely.
we didn't send it, or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, be super, super, careful with that.
Right.
Because heck, he would have lost around $400,000.
Absolutely.
He had an attorney, but I think he still ended up losing like, $60,000 to $80,000 still.
Absolutely.
He recovered some of the money, but not all.
Right.
And then what they said is after like 48 hours, this money's,
Right.
Gone. It's overseas.
Absolutely.
Somewhere, and it's really hard to get that.
Sure.
Okay. So, is there anything else, people should know, about fraud or any other topic?
Absolutely. We're seeing an uptick in seller impersonation fraud. Basically, what that is it's we're seeing a lot of criminal organizations, foreign state-sponsored actors, so sophisticated people. They're finding these properties. A lot of times they're vacant land, or they have no mortgage, or seller's deceased. They're targeting those properties, drafting deeds, and getting them on record. And it's as easy as that to steal somebody's property.
Okay. So there seems to be a lot of fraud.
Yeah, right.
You have to be careful.
Yes.
Really do your due diligence. The enhanced policy sounds to me like a viable option, because most people don't do that because they want to save a couple $100, but in the long run, that could really save you. So, that's something for, to think about out there. Okay, good. Now, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, want more information,
Sure.
How would they do that?
Well, they can always visit our website at www.quainoakabstract.com. Shoot me an email at rgonzalez@quainoak.com, or give us a call at 610-351-9980.
Great. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Sure.
Very informative. Hopefully you guys got some good information from it as well. Well, that's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Instagram, and be sure to subscribe. I have great guests coming on, like Rebecca, and many more coming up as well. Also, leave a comment. Tell me some items that you'd like me to cover in the future. I always want to hear from you, so super, super important. Remember, this show is everything real estate, no limits. Thanks, and I'll see you next week. The Real Estate